Hi, everybody. It's me. It's Sarah here with the Humor and Chaos podcast, and I am just giving a brief introduction to my talk with the fabulous Zoraida Morales. I split it in half again, like I do some of the talks that go for over an hour. So, in this first half, Zoraida talks about how her diagnosis of chronic myeloid leukemia affected herself, her family, and how it really changed her perspective and how she lives her life in all areas, physically, spiritually, in her relationships, and how she raised her kids. It's a fantastic talk. Make sure you stick around for the second half tomorrow. Don't miss it. Zoraida talks about healing, not healing, honey. Well, it is healing. The honey compound. I said healing instead of honey. A honey compound that she mixes up and she takes every day that helps with inflammation that even her oncologist is asking about. So she gives that recipe, and I will also include it in the notes. So again, this is part one of my talk with the fabulous Zoraida Morales, and don't miss part two tomorrow.
Good morning, everybody, or at least it's morning for Zoraida and I right now. I don't know how it is for you listening to this, but welcome to the Humor in Chaos podcast. I'm Sarah Howard Nelson, certified resilience coach, certified art therapy practitioner. And just real quick, if you know anybody who'd be a good guest on this podcast, please be sure to send me an email, shoot me some kind of information, send them out to the person or whatever, humorinchaos@gmail.com. Always looking for more guests. And welcome today to Zoraida Morales. And here is her bio. Her program is called Thriving Beyond Cancer, Transforming Lives. From high-achieving investment banking manager to cancer thriver, Zoraida Morales' journey is one of resilience and reinvention. A routine physical shattered her world when she was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia, leading to 13 years of chemotherapy. I thought my 8 was bad. 13 would have been worse. Now celebrating 4 years in remission, she's living her true purpose, empowering others to reclaim their health and embrace life beyond cancer. It's called Life by Design, Not Default. As a certified transformational nutrition coach, certified cancer coach, and creator of the 3 pillars of nutrition, mental, physical, and spiritual program, Zoraida empowers cancer survivors and caregivers to heal in all aspects of their well-being. And I love that you include caregivers, because not enough is there for
Not
caregivers.
enough help is, it's given to caregivers. I
Yeah,
agree.
they fall apart because it's hard. Through holistic tools, she guides them in managing fear and anxiety, nourishing their bodies, and shifting from survivor to thriver. Zoraida's coaching transforms lives, restoring self-worth, well-being, and the ability to flourish post-cancer. A sought-after speaker, coach, entrepreneur, and author, Zoraida shares her expertise through conferences, workshops, fundraisers, and podcasts. And thank you for coming on mine, including her feature in Perspective on Cancer, Volume 2. She holds a professional certificate in project management from Rutgers School of Business, equipping her with the leadership skills to amplify her message and inspire change. Beyond her work, Zoraida finds joy in astrology, yoga, and salsa dancing. Fun.
Yeah.
Fully embracing the practices she encourages others to explore. As a dedicated mother of 2, she embodies the strength and wisdom she imparts to her community. And with every stage she steps onto, Zoraida brings her powerful story and transformative insights, inspiring audiences to prioritize health, harness resilience, and create their thriving future. Welcome, Zoraida!
Nice Thank you. It's so good to have another conversation with you, Sarah. I love our conversations.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having
So, where do you want to begin? Because you have a very
me.
extensive story and a lot going on.
Yeah. Oh my God. Right now, I feel like, and I'm sure others are feeling it too, because planetarily, there's a lot of energy going on. Um, I feel the shift. I feel that I'm in between worlds. right?
Mm.
I'm leaving that survivorship world and moving into that thrivership. And that has what has prompted me to speak about thrivership because I was in survivorship for so long. You just don't realize that you're in that fight or flight mode.
Right,
And at some point, something happens, something shifts where you're like, I'm not living my life the way I want to. Like, what am I hungry for?
right. Yes,
How do I want to live my life? And so I'm so happy to share it. And thank you for inviting me to share it with others because, making the heart the leader and having my mind follow and support the heart is a different way of thinking. At least
yes,
it is for me. And so now I want to let other people know and just give them a new perspective on looking at life. Yeah, because
yeah,
cancer is very challenging. However, we can look at a life reimagined. We can.
yes, we can.
I want to give
So,
people hope.
you mentioned that, and it's so true that, chronic illness, severe chronic illness, cancer, in my case, systemic lupus and blood disorders, give you a new perspective on life. You're in remission for 4 years. I was in remission for 5 years and seems to be entering back into it again. Do you also find remission gives you another whole perspective?
Yes. You know, my friend calls it cancer ignorance. And he could say that because he had cancer. So what he means by that is that prior to cancer, you think the word remission means everything's okay. Your health is 100%. You're back to being who you used to be. But now that I've been afflicted with this disease, I know for a fact that no, you're never going to be who you used to be,
That's right.
and that your health will never, ever, ever be 100% good. Maybe not even 90% good. And that we are going to struggle with our health for the rest of our lives. Even though we don't look like we have cancer, we will always struggle because you took chemo for 8 years. I took it for 13. It does a wonderful job of killing cancer, but it does a wonderful job of killing your good cells.
Yeah,
And so other things are in play, right? So it's like you have to be extra diligent, but you also have to show people what remission looks like, right? You have to kind of school them, even your own family, people closest to you, they don't know
yeah,
what it really looks like, and there's challenges there. So it doesn't mean that a person is, living their living a life without good health. Yeah, there's always that challenge. And so I know that now. And so I take extra good care of myself because I know that. And that my cancer can come at any time and that I can develop a second cancer, which I wrote about a few months ago. It was I wrote on LinkedIn. It was titled Fear versus Faith. And when I
yes.
wrote that, I was going through, I went to the doctor and they said, this doesn't look good. We've got to run some tests. And they ran tests for 6, 8 months. And for 6, 8 months, I was living with that fear. And so I wrote about it. And
I
we
saw that.
go through that fear every time we go to the oncologist. And I'm actually
Mhm.
going in a few hours right after this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, we have different challenges.
we do. We do. So let's start at the beginning of your challenge. Let's start with that. Walk us
Mm.
through.
So I'm 45 years old. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. I go for a routine physical. I know this doctor for 20 years. He takes blood work. We have a conversation about our kids because we've known each other 20 years. I go home. The next day he calls me. Sarita, are you feeling okay? Your white blood counts are really high. I'm like, well, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I have a 10, 12-hour day job, a career. I'm tired. Of course, I'm tired. So he sends me for blood work. The next day, he calls me. Your numbers are tripling. This is not good. So he tells me, I need you to see a hematologist or an oncologist. And at that moment, I knew something was not right. But I didn't want to get ahead of myself because I'm not a doctor and I don't have a degree in that. And I go and I get blood work. The blood work shows the numbers are tripling again. So now I go to see I try to go see an oncologist. But here's the thing. You cannot see an oncologist until you get a diagnosis. And you cannot get a diagnosis until you see an oncologist. It's like chicken and egg. And it was so frustrating. So now I'm on day 4. And I live in New Jersey at the time. So I just go to my neighborhood doctor and I just tell the receptionist my sobby story. I need a diagnosis, right? Can you get me in? So this hematologist assistant gets me in. This woman, 2 hours later, who I've never met, because who has a hematologist on their contact list? Nobody.
Right.
Just looks at me and says, you have chronic myeloid leukemia, and I'm scheduling you for a bone marrow biopsy on Monday. And I'm like, what? And she looked at me like she thought I was going to hit her. And I don't know if I used the F word. I can't remember. It's not a word I normally use, but again, I am this is an out of body experience. And I told her, look at your chart again. You have the wrong patient. And she very coldly said, just repeated what I said. And in that moment, my world was not the same. I didn't know what that meant, but I know that on the way home, it was raining and the rain was pelting my windshield. And I called my husband, who was in New York working at the time. And I said, this woman, because that's what I said, this woman, doctor, hematologist, said I have cancer. And he was like, what? I'm on my way home. And as I'm driving, we're both on the phone and we're sobbing because we didn't know what to do. And it was November 14th, 2008. Yeah. It was a hard day.
Still hits you. Yeah. I remember the day that
I still feel it in my body.
yeah,
You know how the body keeps score?
yeah, yeah,
Body remembers. Every
yeah.
time I tell a story, I can't help it. Yeah, I have tissue somewhere here because, yeah, I'm a
I
crier and I feel it all over again. It's like I'm there,
Mhm.
you know.
I do. The day that I got diagnosed, after months of trying to figure out what was wrong with me, the day that I got the diagnosis, when he was going through the criteria of the lupus, and there's a criteria list, and when you have so many of them, it's a positive. It's like at the time, because they change it periodically. At the time, the list was 13, I think it was, and if you had 4, it was positive. When he hit 8, I had this roaring in my ear like the ocean was in my head, and I couldn't hear another word the rest of the appointment. I just couldn't hear another thing. And I can still remember the sound in my head. It was just all encompassing. And I didn't even know what lupus was. All I knew was that this was really serious. That's all I knew. That's it.
And that you didn't feel well.
And I didn't feel well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You don't remember yeah. And that's the thing. Your mind just, it's like you're in a Martin Scorsese movie
it's,
and you're watching yourself as an actor
mhm.
and you just can't believe that this is happening to you.
Yeah,
It's the words you never want to hear. Yeah.
it is. It
I can
is. And you
imagine how
didn't
you felt.
expect. Because you're just going about your life. You don't feel sick, right? I mean, I didn't actually like feel all that sick. I mean, literally the day that it all started, I was out on my morning bike ride. I mean, I was just doing life and had no idea that I was internally bleeding. I mean, no
Can you
clue.
imagine? Yeah. And that's the thing. There are symptoms that if you're not aware of your body, or even if you are aware, sometimes it's happening and you do not know it's happening. I've had lots of diagnoses where I didn't know it was happening. And this is why it's important that people go to the annual physicals. If anything, go to your annual,
It is. It
because
is.
they caught my cancer very early. My cancer only happened in the last 4 months. And they know that because I had reconstruction surgery 4 months prior to that, and all my blood work was normal. And prior to that, it was normal. So,
Yeah, don't take your
so
health
they
for
were able
granted.
to tell me, they were able to tell me how the mutation happened, and I still have the tissue that the doctor drew all the chromosomes that were afflicted and how it happened. And it was an incredible story. I mean, I couldn't even, I don't know anyone who's gotten this cancer the way I got my cancer. So yeah, it's everyone's story is different.
So then how was treatment? How did treatment go? Because you had 13 years of chemo. How was that?
Um, because I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia and not blastic myeloid leukemia nor acute myeloid leukemia, I was considered stage 0, 1, right? And
Okay.
so I was given a pill called Gleevec. Now, check this story out. I'm giving this pill Gleevec to put me in remission. My I'm now at a point, it's like 6, 8 weeks, where I'm telling my friends. So we have a couple over for dinner. He happens to work for one of the top pharmaceutical companies. I tell him about the diagnosis, and he tells us a story how he was the lead principal investigator for this drug. Do you believe that?
That's some
I think
serious
that was,
info.
I know. I think that was spirit source watching over me, giving me information and giving my spouse information too, because he was scared as shit. Um, so he gave us the whole history and how this pill was sitting on a shelf for 20 years because of funding. Because you have to pay for the warehouse, the salaries, all the overhead expenses that come with the with a drug. So this is why drugs are so expensive. Like he broke it down for us. He says this is why your pill is $400 a pill, because you're paying for the salaries, you're paying for the overhead, you're paying for the rent, you're paying for the supplies, you're paying for everything that comes with that pill. And so when the funding wasn't available, they put it on a shelf. So do not be surprised that there's other medications sitting on a shelf right now as we speak, waiting for funding. This is why fundraising is very important. And
Wow.
so, do you believe that? Yeah. And so this little pill was saving my life. And I can tell you that when I first started taking it, that's not the way I looked at it, because everything is perspective, right? So
Yes.
remember, I'm not happy I got cancer. And
Right.
I went in kicking and screaming. So I'm looking at this pill, and every time I'm taking it, I'm going, oh, I hate you, because it's making me nauseous. It's making me sick. It's making me lethargic. It's just wrecking my whole body. So every time I was taking it, I was telling the pill, oh, I hate you. I mean, I remember I remember looking at my body and hating my body at one point.
I
I don't
did
do
too.
that anymore
Yeah, me too.
because I felt like it belied me, right? Okay, you understand what I'm saying. Now I
Yes.
look at things differently. Now I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I love myself. I love myself some more. But at that time, at the beginning, I did not want to be a cancer patient.
Right.
And I was letting that title, I was attaching myself too much to that title, but then I was fighting for my life. You're fighting for your life the first year, right?
Yep.
And so it was a struggle. It was, it was really, really tough, especially with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I remember the day I had to tell them that I had cancer. Because here's the thing, everyone around you, even if you don't say anything, will know that something's not right with you. You're
Yes.
not as happy, you're not as joyful. Um, and so even children who may not be able to verbalize it know that something's not right. They understand that there's less laughter in the home. They
Yes.
understand that there's more quietness and solemn. And so yeah, I got a book from Barnes and Noble. Remember Barnes and Noble when we went to the store and we sat there and we read a book? I love those days. So I got a book where I can show my children what cancer could look like. Meanwhile, they already knew because we always contributed and did fundraising for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And I don't know why, Sarah, but when I was 21 and I had my first corporate job, I automatically used to give money to St. Jude. I just felt
Mm.
this thing. And so years later, it made sense how I
Mm-hmm.
was attracted to this organization for all the wonderful things that they do. And so when I said to my child, my oldest, who was he was 7 at the time, um, I showed him the book, gave it to him to read. Oh, good book, Mom. Oh my God, the poor kids. He's going through his emotions. What can we do for them? I was like, oh, I love this child. He's so empathetic, right? What can we
Mm-hmm.
do, Mom? What can we do? And my tears came down. And I said, Mom, he has the same cancer. He looked at me and he said, are you gonna die? No, that's a real hard question because I didn't know what was going to happen,
Right.
but I'm a mom. And I said, no. I was not going to have my child remember this moment with more fear. I said, no, mommy's not going to die, but mommy needs your help. And so as I'm speaking to him, he just keeps saying, are you going to die? And is your hair gonna fall off? Now he's 7. Remember, he's a 7-year-old boy. Your hair's
Right.
gonna fall off. I wonder what you're gonna look like. Because he's talking to himself now.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, we need to tell Kyle. So I have another child, a 3-year-old, who was 4 at the time. He said, we need to tell him. He goes, I'll do it, Mom. I'll do it. I was like, we'll do it together. Because he was protective of his brother. Until this day, they're like this. I know that no matter what happens, they'll always take care of each other. They have that thing.
And chronic illness, as painful as it is for family, for the children, mine were older. My oldest was already grown and flown, and my other two were, one was a teenager and one was in uh elementary school. Um,
Oh, wow.
as hard as it was for them, I also found it gave them gifts of resilience and closeness between them. Did you find that to be the case too with you? You already said that they're like this, but did you notice other gifts that your journey gave to them?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, they do have this resiliency about them. Like your children, they've seen things that no children should see. Children should not see suffering and illness and you know but yet they have. And so they were my caregivers. I'm sure your kids were your caregivers too.
Yes, they were.
When I fainted on the floor, which was one of my side effects of this Gleevec, it did not give me a good quality of life.
Mm.
So one of the side effects was I would faint. And every time I fainted, I hurt myself. I would sprain an ankle. I would have bruises. I mean, so my little one was the one that was always there for some reason. Not my husband, not the oldest. It was the little one. And that little one had to learn to put his feelings aside and help mommy. So much so that I had to create a document and put it in the refrigerator so that when this happens, call dad, call the ambulance, do this, do that, do that. He's a kid. He's a kid. He's 10, right? He's 12. He's 14. That's how he grew up. So they grew up, they didn't know other children who had parents with chronic illness.
Yes.
So it was, they learned to be more empathetic, be more
Yes.
compassionate,
Yes.
put themselves in other people's shoes. They
Yes.
learned that at a very early age.
I also found that my kids also learned how to stand up for themselves
Yes.
in ways other kids were not learning, you know.
Good point, because I remember having to speak to my children and say, I need you to ask for what you need with this teacher.
Yep. Yep.
And they were like, no, mommy, we do not, because they didn't want anyone to know. Remember, the C word still has this taboo, right? You don't want,
Right.
you don't want to, and when you're a child, you want to conform, you want to be like everyone else. But when you're a child of a chronic illness person, you're not like everyone else. And so he was, no, mommy, she cannot know. I said, honey, you need help. You need someone to pay extra attention to you,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
So this is you asking for what you need. If you want, I'll do it. But I would like you to do it the way you want to do it. And so he thought about it. He said, he put on his big boy pants and he said, I'll do it, mom.
Yep.
I'll ask her. And I've always taught them to do that.
Yeah.
And now they find it so much easier.
Yes. Yes. My kids too. Yeah, exactly that. I
And
will
I
add
love
this
that.
though. Yeah, I will add this though. My son also used it to his advantage. If he had
Ah,
if he wanted to take a day off from school, he would use me as an excuse. He came home early from school one day, like way early, like he was in school for like maybe an hour. And he came home and I said, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "Oh, I don't want to be at school today." And I said, "What do you mean you don't want to be in school today? How did you get out of school?" He goes, "Well, I told them you were sick and I have to take care of you." I was fine that day. There was nothing wrong with me that day.
hey, I know my children did the same. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, our kids, they got to walk through it with us.
Smart, smart, smart kids. The
Okay, so
resiliency starts early.
the resiliency starts early. Yes, yes. So tell me about your transition from hating your body to realizing, hey, I can't look at it this way if I want to get some healing here.
Hmm. One of the things I did was I changed my eating habits. I changed the physical nutrition, right? Now, I've always been, everyone would tell you that I've always ate well. Oh, Zoraida eats well. Um, that's how I was known, but you don't know what you don't know. So when I started doing research on how I can remove processed foods from my body, from my diet, and incorporate more whole foods, that's when I realized that I didn't know anything. and not a thing. Because I was in let me see, when did I get diagnosed? 2008. Oh, so before that, like I would have fat-free cheese. So we all thought that I was eating healthy, right?
Right.
Um, um, what other words are there out there? Low fat. Those are poison. Low fat, fat free. That's all poison. But we don't know that because the marketing in the United States tells us that this is healthier for us, but it's not.
Right.
Until I started to change my eating habits. And as here's the funny thing. It was year 12, I think, of taking chemo that when I decided to be a cancer coach and a nutrition coach is when I learned even more about the nutrition. And I'm telling you, you just don't know what you don't know,
Right. Right.
which is great that I'm a learner. I'm a learner and I'm a teacher because I like to learn stuff. And that actually took my nutrition level to a whole new level. And at the time that I did that, I hired a nutrition coach because I'm from the school that if you don't know something, hire somebody who knows more than you.
Yeah, right.
So I actually had a wild fit nutrition coach while I was going through the nutrition coaching program. Yeah. I have 3 coaches right now because I'm all about learning and I'm all about learning from people who have been there.
Yep.
People who have owned, all they need to do is be 3 or 4 steps ahead of me. I don't need Tony Robbins all the time. All right. Sometimes you just need someone who's just done it before you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And in close proximity,
Mm-hmm.
as you
Yeah.
point, 3 to 4 steps, it's fresh for them as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they get to walk alongside you, which is what I get to do now. So it's
Uh-oh, we froze.
hard. It's gonna land hard for people. Oh, it's gonna feel hard for some people, but my cancer diagnosis has been a gift to me. It's been a gift. It wasn't a gift the first 10 years, I can tell you that much. It didn't feel like a gift. It felt like it was happening to me. Now, in hindsight, I look and I say, this happened for me because of the lessons I've learned, the gifts I've received, the new perspective I have on not just life, but on who I am.
Yes. Yes, it's very transformative. I mean, come on. If
Very.
anything's going to transform you, it's a health crisis. D-
Yeah.
So besides your eating habits, what else transformed for you?
It was a good time for me to look at some old wounds that I had. So here I am on year 12, I think, 11, 12, 10 through 12. I'm getting a divorce. I'm in a 24-year marriage. I'm in a 30-year relationship, and I'm getting a divorce while taking chemo. And it
Wow.
was not easy. And let me just say that when you are a woman asking for a divorce, men and women and your own family may not support you,
Right.
may say things like, "Who do you think you are?" I heard that. No one's happy in a 24-year marriage. I heard that. I heard just have an affair.
Oh,
Yeah. I was like, this is not about sex. I said, I don't think you understand that there are not many people who are taking chemo who are initiating a divorce. I said, this is about safety. It was the first time, Sarah, that I looked at life and I said, I've never really devoted to self.
mm,
I've put everyone else first. I put my children first because that's what you do in my culture. You put your kids first, and then you put your husband second, right? If you're
yep.
married, you put your spouse first. Then when you have children, he goes to number 2 and your children are first. And then everybody else came actually before me.
I did that too.
And so when that time came that I said, what am I doing? Like, this is not how I really want to live.
Right.
It was a radical way of thinking in my family, and they couldn't understand it. And so I actually had to remove myself from their lives just so I could be who I wanted to be. Because they kept saying those kind of words, and that wasn't supportive. And I needed to create that space for now other people can come in and support me. Right. But I had to develop this devotion to self, which is what I teach now. I mean,
Mhm.
it's self-love, right? I don't
Right.
call it self-love because when I was taught self-love, that meant you did a mani and a pedi, right? Twice a month. And once a month you did a massage. Oh my God, she's so good at self-love. Look how much she loves herself. That is
Mhm.
not self-love at all. Because here's what self-love really is, which I call devotion to self. Self-love, devotion to self means that your mind and your ego are not trampling on your heart. Your mind and your ego are open and receiving when you get a compliment.
Mm. Mm. We have a hard time accepting compliments, don't we?
Exactly. When your heart is open, it's like that childlike 7-year-old self that wants to play. Nothing's bad about that. Nothing's ever bad about that.
Right.
So self-love is not playing small, not giving your power away, asking for what you need. It's all those things. It's putting yourself first. It's loving yourself and loving yourself some more. And it doesn't depend on anyone or anything. Nothing external. It's all you right here. It's
Right.
all you right here. I had to learn that. Matter of fact, I had to teach myself that. There was no one to teach me how to do that. Oh, yes, wait a minute. Did have a teacher who's still my teacher today. I have a spiritual teacher. His name is Christopher Witecki. He has a company called Serious Joy.
Oh.
It's an astrology-based life coaching company. That's my version of it because I use astrology to coach myself. And
Oh,
so
wow.
he's been my teacher since 2021, and it's been the best thing that has ever happened to me. Now, it's radical thinking,
Mhm.
and so people don't understand it. Even my own kids were like, oh, self-love, devotion to self. What does that mean? So I had to tell my child what that means is when you're sick and you can't get out of bed and you're thinking about going to work, that it means you're staying home and you're going to take good care of yourself.
Right.
Because
Right.
what will happen is you go to work, you're not feeling good. Everything and everyone's going to get on your nerves because your heart does not want to be there. Your heart wants to be in bed. But
Right.
now, because you did not honor yourself, your mind and your ego are mad. So now you're cranky with everyone, and now you're getting everyone sick. So I tell my child, I have to, as things come up, I have to say, that's devotion to self. Do what you want with that. You're old enough now.
Yeah, the problem with you and I and pretty much almost every woman on the planet is that we were raised with these definitions of how we were supposed to be. And, as you put it, putting others ahead of ourselves, being completely selfless and stuff like that, and giving away of ourselves to the point where we have nothing left to give. And completely missing the need that we have to give to ourselves first. We can't even give to anybody else until we give to ourselves. And we really need a radical redefining of womanhood.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And look, don't we all say, and we all say it, oh, you have to put the mask on first before you put the mask on someone else. But why don't we live that?
That's the question. Guilt, because then we're meant to
Guilt.
feel, the society makes us feel guilty if we take care of ourselves.
Exactly. And your own family will too. Now, granted, women are natural nurturers. Not every woman. I've met some women that are not nurturers.
That's true.
But that doesn't mean that we need to put others first before ourselves. Because when we do that, we don't honor ourselves.
Right.
And
Right.
we teach people to treat us that way.
Yes. Yes, we do.
So other people were treating me in a way that I did not want to be treated because I was not honoring myself until I put a stop to it. Until I said, okay, this is you cannot expect me to do this because I don't have anything to give right now. I mean, I've had to literally have to tell people, I don't have anything to give you right now. I can't even pour into myself. So I cannot do this for you today, but let's speak in a few days and maybe I can help you in a few days.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you're taking away from others. You're not. You're just being truthful, honorable. And if you can't give to yourself, you can't give to someone else.
Right.
Now, very few people will say, well, I want you to give to me anyway, right now. But people will there are people who will say that, including
that's a
your own
problem.
family. Yeah. And that's when you have to go, You either have to repeat yourself or stay quiet, because stoicism works for me.
Yes.
And then you have to think twice about, is this relationship worthy? I've had to do that.
Yeah. I've had to do that too.
And we don't want to,
yeah.
but you have to honor yourself, right?
And I even had to learn that I had to do that with my children. I had to learn to stop giving them everything I thought they needed and make them give to themselves.
Yes.
Because if I give them everything that they quote unquote need, which oftentimes they actually don't need, but if I keep giving, I'm actually stunting them from learning how to give to themselves as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true.
Oh,
I've learned that lesson too, Sarah. Yeah. Yeah. I had to teach myself, I had to teach my children about devotion to self and how it doesn't take away from them. It actually gives them. So, my children now are in their 20s, right? 20 and 23. So of course we parent differently, right?
yes.
And my kids live in another state.
Mine too.
So I I parent with the understanding that I love you and you're the most important person in my life. My job is to be the best teacher that I can for you. Let you make your own decisions so that you can find your way in the world.
Yes.
Because the world would look at you in a certain way, pigeonhole you in a certain place, and so you need to know who you are. Because when the world tells you you're this, you say, no, this is who I am.
Yep.
I want you to find your place in the world, because I didn't know if I was going to be there to watch them graduate from high school. I saw one kid graduate from college. The other one is about to go into the MBA program. So he's got a couple more years. But when I first got diagnosed, I was hoping and praying that I would see those days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'm going to be around. So and this is what happens when you get a chronic illness. It's not being morbid, it's being intentional. It's being optimistic at the same time, just being truthful with what things look like.
And I thought also practical. let's
Yeah.
also be practical about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people thought that I was being morbid too, but I was like preparing stuff, like,
Because you don't know.
because you don't know. And, I wanted to make it, how do I want to say this? Just easier on them if I didn't make it, because I did. I almost bled out multiple times. So I wanted them to be both mentally and physically prepared for it, because
Yeah.
they were gonna deal enough with their not only grief, but also, okay, now we're really on our own, so and I had to, but however, at that point, I was also doing the too much trying to give to them. I had not yet reached that point of not doing for them everything, and I still needed to learn at that point to back off from that. However, it's a balance. It's
Right. And we toggle between those worlds because
Yeah,
as
we do.
parents, there really is no rule book,
No,
right?
especially not as they get older.
Right. And so it's you don't know how to respond until you're in it. And then you've got to take a whole bunch of factors into consideration, right? This
Yes.
is why everyone is different.
Yes.
Because and then we have our own traumas, we have our own limiting beliefs, and then we parent with those. But then like you get this chronic illness, and now you're making shifts, and so you're constantly toggling between both worlds. How do I stop being who I used to be, right? The giver, 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 and create that balance. Well, in order to do that, you have to go to the extreme one way and then go to the extreme the other. And there's going to be days where you're going to, go back and forth, go back and forth. But for the
Yeah.
most part, look at your children now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All the lessons that they've learned, and know that when you are no longer here, they're going to be saying the words that you said to them that they didn't even understand or maybe didn't even like to their own children.
Yeah. Yeah. And this also brings me back to my neighbor, when I lived in California, and when I was first sick and in bed and everything, and I've said it in past tense, it's not past tense. She has 4 boys that are younger than my 2 oldest children. Her 4 boys are all around the ages of my youngest. And she asked me one day, they were still pretty little. She asked me one day, she said, "Sarah, tell me it gets easier. When does it get easier? Tell me it gets easier." And I said, "No, Terry, it just gets different. It
It's
never gets
different. It's
easier."
different.
And
And now
she's
you're
like,
dealing with adults who have a bigger vocabulary. So it is, I don't know.
"I have
Uh,
grandchildren with my oldest, and I'm telling you, it's still not easier."
it's still not easy.
Yeah.
Agree.
Isn't Zoraida great? We had a great time talking, and I'm so grateful that you all were able to join in and listen. Don't miss the second half of my conversation with Zoraida. She continues to share so much from her heart. In the second half, she makes me cry. Uh, so don't miss that. And have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.